and only Nomad.
Yo, welcome to Nomad at Night, a special edition, a Hard Knocks edition of Nomad at Night. I'm your host, Nomad, and I got my guy, the Canuck, with us, and my guy, Country Brian, down there, Country Santa. The Canuck will be with us in a second. He had to take a quick break before he jumps in. You see his emoji up there, but we're going to talk about this. And not only the episode of Hard Knocks, we'll talk about practice. Got a few notes to talk about there, too. But pretty interesting first episode of Hard Knocks. I wasn't surprised by a whole lot. There was some funny stuff in there, some really funny stuff that we're going to talk about in there. Also, this is Brian's first time watching an episode of Hard Knocks. Country Santa with his first time watching an episode of Hard Knocks. I'll just let you go ahead and navigate through that right there. How is it this the first time you've ever watched an episode of Hard Knocks? What is the deal?
Well, because I don't give two shits about reality TV. It was interesting. I like the family's perspective of watching it and seeing Jonathan Owens and still supporting his wife during the Olympics. I like that part. But like I said, I'm not into reality TV, and I think I could have done without seeing the Canadian Eagle.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. That got me off guard. That was weird as shit.
That was the best part, man. Seriously, no jokes aside, that was hilarious.
I go in the back, Nick. You just go ahead and go in the back.
Yeah, hurt.
I could have dealt with
that. I'm coming in hot with that. That's dude approved right there. That's dude's kind of humor. That's what's in. That's what's hot. That's what's now.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. I didn't like that, but it was. I guess it's funny. I could see the faces in the room like, hey, what the hell is going on up in here, man? Put your pants on. That's exactly how I would have been sitting in that audience. I'd have been like, hey, man, come on, man. You done took entertainment a little too far. But you know what, Brian, man, I'm listening to you talk about this being your first time. And you don't like reality TV. I guess you could file that in the category of reality TV. But I in my mind, I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way, but I believe you are right. That's exactly what it is. That's how reality TV is recorded. That's how it's produced, the whole 9 yards. But I didn't, just because I'm a football fan and I'm in it for that, I didn't see that as the same thing.
I'm just in a little bit of shock that Armando thinks I'm a Kardashian fan. There's some things that I want to say that I can't say because I don't want to get us kicked off YouTube, and I don't feel like, I don't know, Dateline or Men in Black or somebody knocking on my door.
Well, you ain't gotta get pissed off, man. It's just football, man. And reality TV. I'm thinking now, do I watch any reality TV whatsoever? I don't think I do. I don't watch any. It really ain't for me either. But it's neither here nor there with me. It's just Hard Knocks is just football. If it's football, I'm on it. If it's NFL football, NCAA football, I'm on it. But yeah, I don't see it as a reality TV.
Well, and you've also played at a relatively high level. I mean, high school and college. So yeah, that camaraderie, goofiness, whatever that the average fan don't see. With me, football was entertainment.
Right.
So that's a different outlook. And neither one of us are wrong. It's just, a different perspective of looking at it.
You're definitely wrong, sir. I will have no Canadian Eagles slander on my watch.
That's right. Sure. And also Don Burr, I'm pretty sure you were talking about the Lions on Hard Knocks 2 years ago. So quit the capping, brother.
Yeah. So, kids, you just popped up. Look, why don't you give out some pleasantries and do all that?
Well, definitely no love to Don Burr. There's that.
Apparently
Levante
none to
Rogers
me.
in the chat. What it do, Levante? Hey, no, Keds is back. See, there you go, Charles. Keds is back. Keds just had a couple of things to do before we got started, and now we're started. Moss, what it do? Junior. Where's Patty at? There she is. What's going on, Patty, Laura? Mr. Mayhem, what it do? Victor Tangent. The Nodge is with us. Jay Grizz is going to be in and out. What it do, Jay Grizz? Hey, let's keep it moving here. I thought it was a pretty fun show. I caught myself laughing. Me and Nomad watched it together. I was laughing. I'm glad they're doing this show, guys. I'm actually really glad that they're doing this show. I'm gonna sort of side with Brian with respect to reality TV as a general statement. I'm not really a reality TV guy. Like, I've been known to watch Big Brother, maybe, but that's about that's kind of like where it starts and ends. Maybe a little Survivor, maybe. But
yeah, you gotta pause for a second. We got a 20.
Oh, what it do, Smitty? Don Burr, we don't like. Yeah, no love for Don Burr times 20. Respect, Smitty.
Shout out to you, Smitty.
I'm just saying, I'm not a big reality guy. My wife loves it. I can't stand it. That's a story all by itself. In any event, I thought it was a fun show. I want to see the rest of this because I'm starting to like Matt Eberflus a little bit. Like, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we kind of saw a little bit of Matt Eberflus's personality. And when when the Canadian Eagle was full eagle, Matt Eberflus kind of stopped and grabbed somebody who was like, yeah, I'm not going down there until he's gone, or at least until he puts some pants on. I'm not going anywhere near that situation. And he was actually being pretty cool. And I appreciate that of Matt Eberflus. I wasn't really sure if he had a personality, but considering that the team has rallied, pause, Charles. Considering that, the team rallied around him last season, I thought maybe there's a personality back there we don't really get to see when he's at the podium. We saw a little bit of that today. We got to see his wife and his daughters, and I thought it was wicked cool that those ladies know what's up with football. You know what I mean? Like, they know what's up. They're not they're well
Kid of a coach. They had no choice. They was born into that.
No choice in the matter at all.
No, it shows what a supportive family that is, and a tight knit. And to me, that's what life's all about.
Well, let me pull it back just a little bit. Let me reel this back in just a little bit because I think some stuff stuck out. First couple of things that stuck out to me. Number one was Hard Knocks did exactly what I thought they were going to do. Lay the pressure. It was a lot of pressure on Caleb before they came into the building, and the expectations for Hard Knocks to dial it up a notch when they came in the building. Oh, they did that times fucking 10. They put him on with the Bulls and Michael Jordan's intro music with all those. They laid it on thick on him. Not only that, I was so glad that the fans, that the people that watch football, like Brian says, he just says he's a normal football guy. He likes to sit down for 3 hours, not to think too much. He just wants to watch the game. Now, for the people like that really, really want to know what it looks like to install, to go through the process of getting all things together related to the install, whether it's your footwork, whether it's your cadence, whether it's you've seen all that in some of those shots with Caleb. He struggled, and he's still struggling a little bit. He's putting it together a little bit more now. You saw the process kind of graduate, during the show. You can see the growth from that part of the first part of the video. It looked rough out there, and he felt he needed an explanation given to his teammates. I'm going to get better. Yeah, he needed to, because this is what it looks like when you first installing a brand new offense. So for that reason, I'm so glad the fans got to see up close and personal. This shit is not easy. I'm not saying temper your expectations. I'm saying think about that first part of that show when Caleb went out there in the first part of training camp and he struggled badly. Struggled badly. By the way, that was last week's information. By the way, just so you know, that was just last week. And so how I know that, Reddy Stewart got that pick on him last week. So that was last week's film. But yeah, getting him where he needs to be is going to take a monumental effort. I can see the effort that the coordinators are putting into him, his position coach. They're all teaming up to make sure his I guess they expedite the process for him and get him game ready come game one, man. And it's going. I can't wait to see what he's going to look like in his Buffalo game because Flus is not committing to an answer. He's still trying to play coy for the defense they got to play against. But we're going to see some Caleb Williams Saturday night. But you can see, kids and Brian, you can see early in that show what Caleb's struggles were and what people were talking about. It just wasn't clean. There was a lot of mental errors and a lot of just regular football shit that happens when you're doing something for the first time. And so I was just glad people got to see that, kids.
I was too. I like the fact that he got to sort of work through it. I'm going to throw this back at Matt Eberflus all over again. And the conversation that they had after that play was kind of impressive. It stood out to me because, right, Caleb kind of goes back to him. He's like, what happened there? Was it a too high? And then did you disguise it? And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. And then they kind of cut to another clip of him saying that we're going to challenge him every rep. And I was like, wow, that's kind of impressive because, again, the more challenge that they provide, the more explanation for the challenge that they can provide, which then gives him the information that he actually needs to beat the scheme. And so, I know it's something that Matt Eberflus wanted to focus on with Justin Fields previously, and that is sort of using the defense as a tool to teach him how to be a better quarterback. Again, I wasn't in the building. We now have, a little bit of different access as to what we were normally seeing from within Hallis Hall and within those training camps and practice. But now that we're seeing it, I kind of like the way that plays to Caleb Williams' inquisitiveness about the offense and how effective he can be. I thought that was really cool. Anyways.
What say you, Brian?
Well, now that listen to you, and I'm trying to remember the show, it seemed like that Flus and Caleb have a more their relationship is more verbal than Waldron or Joseph and Williams. Now, I don't know if that's just how HBO did it or because this was the first episode or what. And I would have thought that it would have probably been the other way around. I realized that Flus is the head coach, but with Waldron, one being new to the Bears and Caleb being new, I figured those two would have been, each other's hip, and Joseph too. But I mean, how it showed, it was mostly Flus talking to him. And it was interesting because something I never thought about it, but when Flus and Saban was talking, and Saban made that comment, he always liked to stand behind the quarterback to watch and then ask him what he sees. Again, because I didn't play, hadn't coached or whatever, I never came up with that, there. I just thought, he's just standing out of the way watching. And then something, what Kez said about last year, Flus working with Justin. And I think you and I talked about last year, Nomad, and you said, yeah, that's what's called cross training.
Mm-hmm.
Where you get a coach from one side of the ball that's teaching somebody the other side of the ball, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is how you need to be able to spot, hey, for instance, is this a blitz? Is this, are they coming from this side or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I guess in that part, with me being a fan, and I don't know how many people in chat are in the same situation with me, not playing, and but you love watching the game, learn a little bit of a nuance that goes into strategizing. And like I said, this was my first episode of Hard Knocks. I'm looking forward. I'm assuming next week is the next episode. What's that going to be, and what little nugget am I going to learn? Just because I'm an old guy that lives in the North Pole, don't mean I can't learn.
Well, you ain't learned to stay in front of the camera. That's one thing, but you know what, man? I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna give you my guts here. My gut instinct tells me something here. Number one, the stuff Brian was just talking about with the cross training, with the defense and Coach Flus teaching him, what they're doing to him to help expedite his growth, by teaching him how coverages operate. We'll flash you this pre-snap, and then post-snap we'll jump into this. Those are the kind of lessons that kid needs to learn, definitely. And so, you can get some indicators from what Coach Flus can give him. That shit's important. And if there's going to be conversation between Flus and Caleb, to me, I'd rather it stay there. Him giving information to Caleb about him, what foot he's on, whether he's got the right foot forward or he's got enough weight for. Man, dude, we don't need that information. You're a defensive coordinator. We should have seen more Shane Waldron. We should have seen more Kerry Joseph. I don't like Flus meddling too much in there. I get the cross training. I trust my kids when I tell you he's fighting for his job. He wants to keep it, and he's trying to make sure that his presence is felt in that process. But I think you can take my word from it. You can take that too far. He's a head coach that doesn't know offense that well, especially quarterbacks. He probably should be quiet on some of that. Well, let me give Jason a shout out. Jason, $4.99 super chat. Don Burr has a box of tissues, a bottle of Jergens, watching.
Jason, you're cold-blooded. Everybody, no love for Don Burr, man. Just it's a Chicago-wide sentiment. What it do, Bears Junkie 23 HOF. Look, I vehemently disagree with what you just said, Nomad. I need Flus.
Why? Well, tell me why you disagree.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I need Matt Eberflus to be paying attention to the details, and that's what he did today. Right? He saw it, talked about it, and kept on moving. It was like, yeah, hey, like, and said it in passing, and then went right back over to the defense.
What that's doing to Caleb, though? That's gonna. If I'm the quarterback, if I'm Caleb, I know instinctually what I'm thinking in my head. Dude, ain't you the defensive? Ain't you like the coordinator?
Oh,
like, I got an offensive coordinator, a freaking 2 position coaches. Dog, I'm good, man.
You know what his answer to that is?
There's enough shit in my head. I don't need you right now.
His answer to that is, yeah, but I'm also the head coach of this team. So
that don't mean you ought to be.
You're gonna have to hear what I gotta say. If I'm saying something, you gotta hear it. I'm sorry. You gotta hear it.
You need to shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying, if he, this is what I'm talking about.
He's not filling him with a bunch of BS though. Like, at least the stuff he's telling them isn't terrible quarterback advice, if you will. However, though, to Nomad's point, it could be too much for a rookie to be hearing. But we don't know how Caleb processes stuff, though. Everybody's different. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, to get to my point real quick, sorry, kids. When Saban is talking, if you remember, he said he never chewed out a quarterback in front of everybody. So I'm assuming there's going to be that private talk. That's when Caleb could say, hey, you're breathing down my neck a little bit too hard. I don't know how freely him and Flus can talk. If they can talk freely, that's when they can each say, hey, I need you to do this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, what kids are saying, the premise of what kids are saying is absolutely correct. He's the head coach. He ought to be able to walk in and be able to say what the fuck he wants to, and that player be able to receive it. I'm just going to tell you, as a player, I've had that happen. dudes on the other side of the ball, coaches running up. I got position coaches, I got DB, defensive coordinators, that's already feeding me. And it's a lot of voices going on. You got your teammates feeding you. And sometimes it's just like, all right.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, like shut the fuck up, man. I got it, man. I'll get there.
No, like I hear what you're saying. It can be overwhelming and a little bit too much, but here is the reverse of that. The opposite of that is noticing snaps on the ground all off season and still putting Cody Whitehair out there to snap the football, right? Like these are the details that I'm talking about, and I'm glad to see that Matt Eberflus is saying, "Oh, I caught that with my eye. Hey, here's how I think it should be." Hopefully, he's not saying contradictory stuff.
No,
that is, you know what I mean? That is the opposite of what Caleb's coaches, etc., are saying.
He wasn't being denied or anything like that. It was straight on. It was real stuff, man. It's just like he's got to realize he's got a rookie that's getting TMI, too much information as it is, and he's trying to process it all live during the game. As soon as he fucks up and something doesn't go right, it's going to be like, if I got to deal with 3 or 4 people going to be in my face and in my ears, like over time, that's going to rub me the wrong way. And it's just, you're going to want to tune some of that out. But, that was a very small thing, but I noticed it. Another thing I noticed was I could see the difference between the first part of that video and the last part was stark. That first part of that video was probably the very first part of the install that week. And later on in the week is what you saw, when he was hitting the connections with DJ and hitting Rome and hitting Keenan. That was probably later on in the week once he was comfortable with the installs, the footwork, and all that kind of stuff. We got to remember also Caleb's first time, kind of being under center in his life, you know what I mean? And it's still pretty new to him. By now, he's probably getting a little bit comfortable with it, getting good with the footwork, and that's the main thing, getting his drops right. And you saw on there that it was he had his drop right, but he faked the ball to the wrong side, and you could see him kind of tail off on the end of that play like he knew he had it wrong. Like, fuck, I almost had that perfect. But that's install 101, getting that little shit like that down to a science, so where it's not even thought about. It's like second nature to, on a 3-step drop, you do it this way. On a 5-step drop, you do it that way. When you got to fake and roll out the other way, which hand to fake with and which hip to roll out on, all that kind of stuff is install stuff 101, and it's going to take some time. But I like how you can see the collaborative approach that they're taking towards Caleb, and you can see what they're investing in him, man. We only got a little bitty picture of it, but I could see the investment they're putting in this guy. I think we're going to see a whole lot more of that moving forward in the rest of the show. But yeah, I was impressed with, how I seen them rallying around him to get him up to speed in time for game 1. I was really impressed.
It was a good show. I thought it was pretty fun. One of the other things that really jumped out to me, and again, editing, it's a TV show it's a reality show for a reason. There's like a decent amount of just unprompted positive reaction from his teammates, just watching him play. Right. And that I found awesome. I don't know what Jalen Johnson said, but he said something to the effect of just, wow, did you see that throw? And he's like, he kind of copies it. And it's like some sort of sidearm throw that Caleb must have thrown at the time. And it was just literally his live reaction to what happened. And then a little bit later on, you see DJ Moore come over to Flus, and him and Flus are talking. And it was just like, yeah, this thing is starting to come along. The sky's the limit, he says.
Look at what King says when you that part. Remember that part when Swift was telling him to speak up? You got something on your mind? Say it.
Yeah, that part was running through my head too. And the reason why I didn't bring it up, King, I'm not sure how to take that, because when somebody, if you're a leader, when somebody else tells you to be a leader, it feels weird. Right? It kind of feels weird. It's like, oh, am I being a leader because you told me to be a leader? Does that make me a follower? So they didn't show anything after that, but I think it did. I think Caleb did take it to heart, because there's another bit of a quote from Flus, when Flus himself said that he sort of had a meeting with them, with the guys he felt were the leaders on the team, and said, hey, basically, I'm giving you guys the keys. You guys are going to drive, and we'll help steer you guys along the way. So that's what that whole Swift thing sort of brought up to me. But hopefully, like, not only hopefully, we did see a little bit of that leadership, just in him saying, hey, look, I threw an interception. I'll be better. And now I'm back under center.
I don't think it was telling him to be a leader. I think it was trying. You partially right, but I think more than anything, he was trying to tell him, get more vocal.
Yeah,
get more vocal. Make your presence known that way. He's probably leading plenty, but being vocal about it is a whole different thing, so that people hear the boom in your voice. Hey, come on, man, get this. Come on now, come on. We got to pick that up a little bit. That kind of shit, let your voice be known that way.
I see what Booker's saying here, and he's King Booker World. It was just a rookie being reassured that his team is behind him, and I have to agree with that 100%, because that was the look on Swift's face when he said it. Was just, hey, we all got your back. You run this thing. You got the keys, right? And he was trying to give him a pat on the back, and I think he took it.
I would like to know when that comment was made. And the reason why I said that, if you remember, a few days ago, Armani Toomer made the comment that he wouldn't be listening to some rookie saying about, hey, clean up after yourself. If this comment was made before that, it wouldn't have any bearing. But if it was made after that, because those guys, they read whatever, especially another player says, and Caleb may be, hey, wait a minute. They want me to be a leader, but if I do this, I'm going to be pissing off my teammates. I mean, that's all an individual thing. And like I said, without knowing when that comment was made, who knows? I'm just grasping at straws.
I would bet money, Brian. I would bet any kind of money that was in reaction to some miscues they were having on the offensive line or something like that. Guys being out of place, guys being a little jumpy, maybe some missnaps. I believe he was speaking in particular to the offense. I'm pretty sure it was that side of the ball. And I bet it was something like that. Like they were looking kind of, unclean in the process and in the coordination of everything. And he was just like, dog, you need to speak up here, man. Come on. Tell them dudes to get their shit together, man. That's probably what it was. Usually that's what it is. Running backs don't usually have a whole lot to fucking say unless it's something operationally on that.
Keep that in mind next time Sean's on.
Yeah, I remember that. But I bet it was that. I bet it was, they were looking raggedy out there. And, what goes on after a play when, it's not a lot of finger pointers. You probably should hear the quarterback more than you hear anybody else. Once you hear the person that jumped off and said, hey, my bad. I'm going to do better next time. And the guy next to him, come on, 79 or such and such. Then you should hear probably that quarterback in unison. Come on, dudes, get your shit cleaned up. Like, I bet that's what it was. But I can understand why Caleb is a little reserved now, because he's just getting himself ingratiated with the team and he don't want to fucking rub people the wrong way.
King Booker, that's great stuff. And so let me be the guy who applauds Amani Toomer for his take. I think it's kind of a ridiculous take. Who cares? Some veterans are going to have a hard time listening to the rookie be a leader in a situation. I have to agree with them in that respect. At the same time, he's just like Caleb's just being a nice guy to the people that he works with. Can you really blame him? Is he really asking you to do all that much? I'm not sure what you're getting at. You know what I mean? I don't know what you're really getting angry.
Me personally, him saying clean, that means take responsibility. If you take responsibility of the small stuff, then you're not going to have major big stuff because you're taking responsibility of everything. It becomes a habit.
The only person who would be upset about the rookie saying that is the slob, right? Like if
Exactly.
if you're the guy who's leaving the mess all the time and you're cognizant of it, yeah, you're going to take that personally. Otherwise, clean up your own stuff. And the reality is, we should all clean up our own stuff. It's like it's a super silly thing to get upset about your brand new rookie QB who's supposed to be the leader of the team. If you know what I mean, if you know what's up, you can be upset about it though, Amani.
You know, you gotta look at it both sides of it. Now, Amani Tuma comes from the football team is basically a fraternity. It's basically a fraternity, and there's a hierarchy in there, right?
Sure.
So I'm going to speak from my own experiences. I was the one that destroyed the hierarchy when I became a freshman in college. I said this on the show, I think, a time or two. You get that you're a freshman, you're a rookie, and the upperclassmen get to treat you. Let me shut my goddamn phone up. But the rookies, I guess, supposedly can treat you the way they want to treat you. And I wasn't the type that was gonna be told to carry anybody's fucking equipment to the locker room. You carry your own helmet and shoulder pads. I ain't picking up shit. And guys want to fuss. Sometimes they want to fight. And then I had a senior come up to me later on and just like, come on, dude, you gotta go with the flow a little bit, man. You fucking up everything, man. You can't be rigid like that, man. You messing up. I'm like, dude, I ain't nobody's bitch, man. Dude, you can take your own shit to the locker room. Somebody want to fucking fight about it, we can fucking fight about it. But I'm not nobody's bitch. No, it's not like that, man. Oh, saying, why are you treating me like that? And so what I'm saying, what am I saying? What am I getting to here? Later on, I felt I understood it better. At the time, when I came into that situation, it was well understood that these dudes they'll chump you if you let them. You know what I mean? They'll chump you. You got to let your presence be known when you get in that locker room, or they'll walk all over your ass. Basically, was the energy. And so I came in with an attitude. And so what I'm saying to you guys is, Amani Toomer comes from those guys' mindset in my locker room. Like, you're a rookie, dude. You don't tell nobody shit up in here. You clean that shit up. And so Caleb went in there and flipped the script. So this is what I would have done if I was Caleb Williams. I would have just started grabbing shit like, hey, dog, come on, man. Y'all can do better than this over here. I'll start picking this shit up and just make them feel bad about it, just like he said. You know what I mean? There's a couple ways to do that, but just to sit there and say, you guys need to clean y'all shit up over there, it's kind of flippant. To be honest with you, I don't give a fuck if he's a bear or not. I'm just being honest with you about that.
This kid's trying to be the leader of the team, right? It's got to start somewhere, and it probably should start in a very small, tiny, incremental thing. And if he sees that he can make his influence felt in something as insignificant as just suggesting that his teammates clean up after themselves, that's a great place to start, in my opinion.
I'm glad it didn't. It's not a ripple effect. It's not that he ain't right. He's fucking right. Clean up behind yourself. This dude's in there with the shit all over the floor, the stuff they just took off.
No, man, let me flip it. Let me flip it this way. I think it's actually the best thing he's ever done. Let me flip it.
Until you get decked in your fucking eye.
No, but this is my point. If somebody is really averted to the level that we're talking about here, to something as simple as what he's asking, then they're probably the least team friendly person on the team. Like, you got an attitude, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got an attitude then, and clearly you have to see that he's coming into a leadership role. He's the prince. He's been ordained. There's no two ways about this. There's no power. It's not Game of Thrones. There's no power struggle. He's been ordained. He's now the king. Chicago is his city. So if he's being a guy and he's laying down the simplest, hey, don't cross the street when the light, don't drive through a red light. Oh man, I had an attitude about it. Cool. Well, like you could, then you're probably not going to be as wanted on this team.
That's the wrong way to be, kids. That's not the way to look at it. They don't look at it that way in the locker room.
I disagree.
He needs to fit in just like anybody else. I don't give a shit how much they made him the leader. You know, you're a rookie. I'm telling you, the only reason I gave you guys my experience was so that you could see how my energy was immediately when I got into that locker room versus what I told you happened later on. I admitted to my teammates, dog, I did break the whatever they had going on in there. I was being defensive because I wasn't going to have nobody telling me what to do. But I understood later as I got to know those guys, you know, this is just the hierarchy of a locker room. Locker room dynamics are locker room dynamics. Caleb was absolutely right. How he approached it probably could have gone a little different, you know what I mean? But just because you're the leader of the team and just because they gave you the keys to the organization and somebody went against the grain and said, fuck you, Caleb, you don't tell me what to do, doesn't mean that guy shouldn't be on the team. That's just some salty motherfuckers in the locker room, and we need some of those guys.
Well, hold on. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm not saying immediately that guy doesn't need to be on the team, but I am saying that just standard psychology. Yeah, that guy's not buying into me as a leader. Standard. You know what I mean? Like that guy over there who has a problem with this, he's probably the last guy to buy into me as a leader.
So that's why they say you have to earn it.
And that's fine. And like it's a process. He's going to do other things as he moves forward to really take the reins and be that guy. He just started. He's growing in this role. But the fact of the matter is, these are little things like this are the ways that you test the waters, and you start to understand. Okay, so these guys are buying into me and what I'm trying to do here. Just this little thing, right? Like this little silly thing. They're buying into what I'm saying. I notice the place is a little bit cleaner than it was last week.
Developing good habits.
We're developing good habits. They're following my leadership in a very small capacity, right? And I now know that, again, Amani Toomer probably isn't buying in as much as everybody else is.
I just understand. I understand who Amani Toomer is and the era that he came up playing football. Came up in the same era. And Caleb couldn't be so right because sometimes the locker room is just foul. You get out of practice. Let's say you got out of practice and you got another walkthrough later on. You did the hard stuff in the early practice. Say you got done at noon. And at noon, you was able to go in there, get some lunch, you know, maybe change out into some cleaner threads or whatever, even if some of them don't change at all. Then you bring your styrofoam container into the locker room to eat your lunch in the locker room. You ain't have time to sit there and eat it at the table. So you bring it in the locker room. So you got multiple guys in there with food, drinks, dirty clothes all around. So to the eyes, I've seen this myself, and it's fucking disgusting. It's like, dog, you know, I've been there before. It's like, dog, come on now, clean. But you know, for a rookie, you can you have to understand
I get it.
Yeah.
I'll one up Amani Toomer on what he's saying. Like Caleb Williams just got a $25 million signing bonus. I'm quite certain he could afford to have somebody come in and clean up a little extra for everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just being a realist here. Maybe that's what Caleb should have done. But I completely disagree with that. I think he did the right thing. This is just a simple leadership exercise in understanding who's buying into you and who's not.
How much different would it have been if Velus would have been the one that said that?
Well, that's going to be received completely different. He's dynamics.
Like if it was Matt Eberflus who stood up and was like, "Oh no, I'm not cleaning up after myself." What kind of leadership does that show? You've been throwing in your quarterback. Like that's the worst thing that could possibly happen.
No, he's saying, what if Flus went in there and said, "Hey, y'all clean this shit up"?
Same thing. Y'all, like you guys should do it. It's the same psychological exercise, right?
No,
You got
half the team makes more money.
You got to respect where the message is coming from. You're talking about a rookie quarterback who the team has given the keys to versus the coach who can go upstairs and have your ass on a bus or on a plane somewhere to another city. So that's a different. You're going to receive that message.
Okay, then to answer that, if Flus annoyed, if him and Ryan Poles annoyed Caleb, this is the leader, then the same thing would apply if Caleb said it as if Flus said it then. If you're getting put in that situation, I've worked in places where I was older, had more seniority. Here's the new boss. Because they're the boss, you did it their way. Now, there may be, hey, he wanted this. And hey, wait a minute, we tried this in the past and it didn't work for this. And they'd be, oh, okay, well, or, well, we're going to do it this way. I want to see for myself. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. So I don't want to suck all that. We don't want to suck all the energy out of the conversation with that. It's where we needed to talk about it, get that on out of the way. You want let's get to some of the let me think now. Let me think. I do now. Let me talk about the Saban and Flus interaction. I think Saban was trying to tell Flus or to reiterate to Flus. I don't think that he needed to actually tell him, but to really break down to him, like, dude, this guy right here, I know you guys think you got something going on, and I believe we do. What's going to happen that first time when he gets the ball, when he gets under center and it's game time, the expectations in the building and in the stadium are going to be this, but you have to keep your poise and understand where he's at and just tune all that shit out is basically what I heard. It looked like it was a student pupil conversation to me. And that's how
Saban Eberflus.
Yeah, it looked like Eberflus was in Saban's office.
Yeah, it was like student pupil.
Yeah,
he was talking to his pupil. Did it come off to you that way, kids?
100. Honestly, that was a great segment as well, and I loved how they showed the connection. This is my coach, right? That's how he introduced Nick Saban, and I was like, oh, I didn't really realize that Matt Eberflus played for Nick Saban, and they definitely highlighted that. That being the case, then you see him sitting with his coach, and then quite literally taking his suggestion and putting it into play, like into practice immediately, and that was so well done. HBO, you guys are pretty good, man. You know what I mean? Because the way that they framed it is Saban was saying, I stand right behind the quarterback and see what he's seeing, and then they literally pan over and you kind of see Flus just stepping behind Caleb to see what he saw. Right, and then kind of slides around him, and they have a bit of an additional conversation. But yeah, definitely a student drinking it all in and learning from one of the greatest coaches ever. Right, so it was kind of cool to see. Actually, I enjoyed that.
There was this is where, to me, and you guys feel the way you want to feel, but there was I privately and figuratively tip my hat to Flus for allowing this. You got to think about what that scene was. You allowed, he's probably considered the greatest college football coach of all time. Yeah. And you allowed a college football coach to come in an NFL coach's offense and humbled yourself and receive a message that he wanted to give you. Think about it in that term. You humbled yourself enough to have a college coach. The college game is totally different than the NFL game. He's an NFL coach, which means he's at another level. And so he allowed a college, yes, true. It's a different fucking ball game. Trust me when I tell you. He allowed, I don't give a fuck how great Nick Saban is. He coaches college football. This is the NFL. There's a certain level of humility you have to allow a college coach to come sit across from you and give you advice on how to deal with NFL football quarterback. There's a certain level of humility. I'm taking my hat off to Flus.
Well, Saban's career at Miami wasn't that great.
Exactly. It's a different game.
I'm not comparing the games. I'm comparing two
I can
things.
see your face though. You
Yeah,
just,
no, I'm not gonna sit here and say that the NFL and the college level are the same thing. They're not. They're two completely separate talent levels. That moving that to the side, Nick Saban has he's got like 40 plus years of coaching experience, as well as direct coaching experience with our coach. And that's why I'm saying it. I see what I see what you're saying. It being a humbling situation for Matt Eberflus. I don't think it really was. I think this is somebody Matt Eberflus truly respects, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
mentor. He's his mentor. But
this is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it was a humbling
humility
thing at all.
to allow a college coach, no matter how much humility you have for him, to sit there across from you and receive that message from a college coach. That means that he has enough respect for this guy and his his savvy at this shit.
Bro,
to say, you know what, I'm going to take word for word, verbatim, your advice, and I'm going to go out there and act it out because I know you know what you're talking about. And so I take my hat off to Flutes for being that humble. He's an NFL coach.
I think the word humility was shown in the first second, like in the second that Saban walked in the door and Flus was like, "Hey everybody, I'd like to introduce you to my coach." Right, like when he said that, like that right there, that's where I was like, "Oh, that's it." There's a different level of respect here. This is a guy that he truly knows and appreciates. And I think you could see that all the way through that little segment. So yeah, you're highlighting a humility situation, and I suppose I have to agree because the level of respect Flus has for Nick Saban was jumping off the screen.
So just you guys hit the like button if you feel like that took a certain level of humility, and he respects him because of it's his mentor. You know what I mean? So in both what me and Kez are saying is equally true. So hit that like button if you felt like that was humble of Flus, and to bring his mentor in. I thought that was a really good thing, man. I think stuff like that goes a long fucking way for a coach. A good coach remembers those kinds of things. Saban has got all kinds of seasoning on him, Brian, and it was just good to see their interaction and how much respect they have for each other.
I'm just thinking if Saban told Flus that he needs to clean up after himself, Flus is going to do it.
Okay.
Take that, money tumor. Take that.
Hey, shout out to Jason for the 199 super chat. Thank you, man. I enjoyed myself today.
I want to answer Michael's question about Saban being the greatest coach. I mean, I'm not a big Saban fan, but you look at his record, and yeah, there's no denying he's the all-time or one of the all-time greatest college coaches. But there's been a lot of very good college coaches that went pro that didn't do crap. Lou Holtz didn't last a full season with the Jets. Steve Spurrier didn't do crap. Jimmy Johnson was one of the few that won in college and won in pro. Barry Switzer came into a situation that I could have coached the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, being a good college coach, not taking that away, but that don't automatically mean you success in pro. Bobby Knight was a hell of a basketball coach, but he stayed in college because he knew he couldn't coach the pro game.
Here's the beautiful thing about it, Brian. Some things, like what he was talking to Flus about in particular, was transferable.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah,
that particular thing was transferable.
It was about coaching, right? Like it wasn't about the game scheme. You know what I mean? It was
how to handle this kid with all these expectations on him. What does he know? He coached at Alabama. He brought all those quarterbacks in with all those hella expectations on him. Jalen Hurts, your Tua Tagovailoa, all those guys that came in and through Alabama. He has some experience with how to treat that. And I think he was leaning into Coach Saban for that coaching experience. He had Justin, who had a certain level of fucking pressure on him, so he knows it. But this is a whole heaping level of the pressure that Caleb Williams is going through. Like this is for real. And so he's just like, hey, dude, you got to be the one person I can talk to about this privately or in confidence that I know I can get the right answer from. How goes it, Coach Saban? What should I do here? And I think he did it. I think Saban answered that with all the savant he has in him, and it was sage advice, I think, man.
Yeah.
1,000,000%, right? He gave him, he articulated it so well right off the bat. Look, this kid is looking at a totally different situation, and you kind of have to be the sounding board. So don't go reaming him out in front of the rest of the team. You can't Bill Belichick, Tom Brady this thing. You have to sort of shelter him and tell him that stuff in private, right? Keep a close relationship between the two of you behind the scenes. That's a little bit different than what everybody sees out there at training, at practice. But
how do you even think he comes to that statement that he gave Flus about that? When Flus asked him about that and he gave him that answer, the question is, how do you come to that? How do you come to that answer? It probably comes from fucking it up.
Well, no,
40 years of coaching.
That's the answer. That's the answer, Brian. That's the answer, right? It's literally 40 years of coaching because he has, and like to echo what you're saying as well, Nomad, he's definitely effed it up. He definitely has. He's also gotten it right a few times. He's done both sides of this coin. So at the very least, he can say, look, this is what I've learned how to do with these guys in this type of situation. I, befriend them behind the scenes. We have our conversations behind the scenes. I have short comments, and I see what he sees and take away what I can from it. And again, we talk. I don't think it strictly comes from failure or strictly from a place of success. After 40 years of doing it, he's definitely got both sides of that gamut covered for sure.
I do like. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was just going to say, if I was going to have surgery tomorrow, I don't want the son of a bitch that just graduated college yesterday. I want the person that's been doing it for years.
Yeah. So I'd rather the sage surgeon than the fresh intern.
I just what comes across, and this is the last part. We're gonna get to some of this funny stuff. There's some funny shit that happened in that video, man, in that show. I just like right now I'm seeing Caleb being level-headed about it all. And that's probably the most important thing, is not getting up too high, not getting down too low. Somewhere you find that median. Finding that median, keeping yourself level-headed, keeping your responses level-headed, not underreacting, not overreacting. It's for a rookie, you can get down on yourself pretty quick in a new install period and shit's not looking right, man. You probably spend a lot of time kicking yourself in your ass because people are expecting certain something. The coaches are expecting a certain something. You got 2 veteran wide receivers, a couple of veteran tight ends. They're expecting this shit to operate right. But the beautiful thing about it is you talk to all the players in pressers and, are out there on the field, they seem to know that, they've seen this shit before. He's going to be all right. He just needs some reps. He needs some time. But I like how he's level about it. And as of now, you don't see him getting too down. You've seen him getting kind of woe is me, walking to the sidelines a little bit. But that's not bad. That's just normal quarterback shit. But I do like the level-headedness that I'm seeing so far.
It's funny you bring that up because that's the song he chose to sing that he got booed.
Wait a minute, kids, don't go.
What do you mean? We don't point it out there. Like, this is remember I'm bringing it up. We can talk about it. Let's talk about it. Where you going?
About him being level-headed. That was going to be a short, man.
But well, watch me. Watch what I'm saying. The level-headed part. The song he chose is "Ordinary People" by John Legend, and it is basically about just that. Hey, he's trying to be a regular guy. Everybody's calling him Superman. All right, everybody's saying basically, bro, you're the next Michael Jordan, and that's how they introduced him. But the song that he chose was a song that basically means, look, I'm just a regular guy. I'm trying to do the darn thing.
He wants to be able to get his own damn groceries.
Oh, that ain't happening. But still,
he can do it. He just gonna need another shirt, another pair of pants by the time he get out of that motherfucker.
Or he needs a kick-ass avatar.
It might take you 2 days to get out of the 2 days to get out of the freaking grocery store, right? It might. But it was an interesting song choice. I thought it was super funny that they booed him off the stage at any event. I bet you he could actually sing too. I was going to put some. Where's the wood? I'm going to knock on some wood. But I will also bet you that there will not be a Caleb Williams mixtape anytime in the future.
Hey man, you know what? If they'd have gave them dudes some rotten vegetables, they'd have threw it at him.
They threw whatever they had at him. It was great. They gave him all of 4 seconds to start. He said, "Oh," and they stayed.
He shit the bed. Just say it, man. He shit the bed. He went out there and shit the bed.
And that's how the song starts, though. That's how the song starts. I'm sorry. Caleb. I'm trying to give you a little.
No, ain't no allowed to do it. Ain't no cleaning that up. You just went out there and shit the bed. They booed you off the stage. You doing the best thing you could ever do for yourself. Play some fucking football and leave John Legend's life alone. That was terrible.
Should have chose something a little bit more upbeat, man.
Correct myself, man. That wasn't terrible. And Charles Barkley's voice, that was terrible. Good and terrible. Go ahead, Brian.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, I could think of a lot worse songs. But you guys ain't gonna know them, so I have nothing to add on this topic.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming out. It's too funny though. So that was a good little segment. I appreciated that. I did and I didn't. I'm so mad that Theo Benedict got hurt, y'all. I'm super mad. I was really hoping that kid would somehow slyly slide into the.
What? You saw how he got hurt though, man. He don't go and get in front.
Yeah, he did the full eagle,
naked, man.
He did the full eagle, and
you don't get in front of your teammates and get asshole naked. No wonder you got hurt, man.
That's why he got hurt. Okay.
I got up and walked out that motherfucker, man.
I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm just saying I was hoping he would slide into Nate Davis's spot. That's the sneaky Canadian in me. I was hoping maybe Theo would do it.
I just got a question, Canada, man. Is that how y'all roll in Canada, man? When y'all entertaining each other, y'all take your pants off?
Yeah. A guy takes his pants off and you say slide in. No.
No, man. Oh, I don't know how y'all rolling in Canada, man, but he need to learn that.
Sometimes we're rolling with Speedos, apparently.
Did he have some breakaways on? Did he have some breakaways on, man?
He was wearing breakaway pants. That's Canadian as hell. But that just reminds me of high school, man. Breakaway pants in high school, you never know what's gonna happen. But
man, you know what's funny about that? I got to paint the picture, man, because I got to tell people how that shit happened for me. So Dez and I was in StreamYard watching the show live. We was in there watching it, and I turned. I think Jay Grizz said something. I think Jay Grizz said something in the chat before the show, and I was responding to something Jay Grizz said or somebody. And I turned back around, and this motherfucker is in there with some goddamn Speedos. I was like, what the? I was like, kids, what the fuck is happening?
Did this MF take his pants off? I'm already laughing my head off. I was like, well, clearly he's not wearing any pants. what can I tell you? Then he broke into song. That was definitely an interesting segment. I'm surprised we didn't. Oh, you know what though? Who was on the cymbals? Whoever was on the cymbals,
That was Kieran Amagaji.
Yeah.
Kieran, yo.
Hey, just for the record, guys, even in fucking college, you have to do that. Freshmen fucking have to do that shit too. Even in college. So they know it was coming. So it was just,
Yeah.
but that
So
was
much for higher learning.
that shit's no fun standing in front of your teammate because them motherfuckers can't wait to boo your ass. They just sitting there. But man, yeah, it was a good episode. I'm trying to think of what else stuck out to me. Yeah, you can see why Ryan Poles was impressed with Swift, not in just his execution of the X's and O's, but you wouldn't imagine DeAndre Swift being a leader on the sidelines, but you just got a little snapshot of it during that time. You know, he was right there being some moral support for Caleb when he needed it at that time. So you could see, you know, exactly how Ryan Poles and why Ryan Poles feels about that guy the way he is. I didn't expect that. I never heard any of those kind of leadership, you know, abilities, but you can see that he was vocal, letting them know as a veteran, like, dog, come on, pop on the behind, like, dog, come on. We're gonna be here for you. Just go ahead and be yourself, man. Let these motherfuckers know what's going on. Take control and be the leader out here. Pop on the butt again. Let's go. You can step it up a little more. And that was a pleasant surprise for me.
Yeah, I appreciated that as well. It's also a thing when you're coming from a new team and you're trying to acclimate too, right? So rookies there, it's probably a little bit easier to connect with him because he's also trying to connect with everybody just like you are, you know. So I think there will be a little bit of an interesting dynamic between these new Bears, and what I mean by that is DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Kevin Byard on the other side, right? I think there's a little bit, and Roman and Caleb. I think they're going to connect in a bit of a different way. You know, those guys should be able to try and usher him along a little bit because they have that veteran status, although it's from a different team.
So let me speak to Dobbsy 34. He said, I like the slip and slide. Great idea to teach a required skill. Kids and I were in there, and I got to speak to it, kids, because live while it was happening, and I seen him go and do it. I was just like, damn, I like that. And kids was like, what? He's like, I guess he didn't get, like, what could these motherfuckers get out of that sliding around on the slip and slide? But that's great. That's great for muscle memory. You know, if you keep that up and do that, you know, on a regular after practice, and you start doing that kind of thing, and you're specific about how to do it, that's going to teach a great muscle memory right there because it's fun. You know, you remember stuff that's fun to you, right?
This is what he said to me. I was like, what the hell? The best was best for me was just the look on Matt Eberflus's face as he overheard that discussion, because it's like his eyes got real big and he was like, slip and slide. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And next thing you know, off they go. They're on the slip and slide. I was like, oh man, Matt Eberflus wasn't messing around. He really liked the slip and slide idea. Like,
and they're running it back too.
Oh, I bet you, especially like the heat that you guys been having out there, because I know
it's probably going to be in this next episode.
Like, you know what that was? That was Eberflus saying, "Oh shit, I didn't ever think about that. That might be a good idea."
Bro, he went out and bought a damn slip and slide. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like somebody needs to go and fetch me a slip and slide immediately. We're doing this right now. Bet all your fucking money there's going to be teams in the league that's going to pull up and get slip and slides for their quarterback. Because it's a I don't know where
it's a valuable tool.
Yes, so I don't know where he saw that, but that's a good fucking idea.
Yeah, it's practice, like you said. The whole concept of practice is muscle memory. You learn that slip and slide, the best or right technique to use that slip and slide. It's safe. You're keeping your players injury free. You're not constantly watering the damn grass because that thing is feeding itself.
Nate Davis is not allowed on the slip and slide, man. He'll find some kind of way to hurt himself. For
well,
sure.
Yeah, I would just put a Michelin Man outfit on and keep him in a room.
Slip and slide accident. Nate Davis.
So let me get to another nugget, and this has nothing to do with the Hard Knocks episode today. The big news that came out of the presser was Matt Eberflus saying that what we all been talking about here in the pod for a while here on this network, we've been talking for well over a year that we think that we felt like Getsy was it was lost money. It was money sitting right there that he didn't pick up and utilize with Velus Jones and putting him in the backfield and being creative with his sets and using him in ways you can tell how Matt Eberflus explained it. How they came to that decision is Shane Waldron, and he has a creative mind. He sees that somebody does something well and he wants to stick with it. And so apparently Velus Jones impressed him in some kind of way, and he wants to utilize that skill set of Velus Jones's. And so they're experimenting with him back there, which is what they should have been doing a long time ago, but they didn't have the coach to do it. And so I was, I know how people feel about Velus Jones. I'm not tone deaf. I can see, I can hear. But I do think you exhaust every resource with that kid because you spent a 4th round pick on him. 3rd or 4th round, I don't remember now. 4th? 3rd. So you spend a 3rd round pick on him. That's an investment. That's quite a draft capital wise. That's quite a nice investment. So exhaust the resources. If Velus Jones doesn't take to that position and you decide that no, we can't, if he's still having snafus and miscues, then you do what you need to do. But I think that's where he should have been at all the time. Don't. You heard it from here first. I think he's going to excel.
I agree with you 100%. That speed is just something they don't have. Swift is fast. He's not Velus Jones fast. And that's just an entirely different element if you can get him to, hang on to the ball. It's just, it's long overdue, and I'm happy that they finally pop their head out of their ass and try him there.
Yeah, so I know Nomad's super happy about the Velus Jones news. So I'll
just remember, we might want to have him on the show one day, man. You got to watch.
You keep saying that. Is he
like to kick rocks, man. I don't want that, man. The man ain't gonna want to come on the show listening to you.
Why can't we bring on Colin Johnson? Let's bring on Colin Johnson.
Colin Johnson, man, come on.
See, he got no love. You see what I just did there?
I didn't say I wouldn't, but we ain't talking about Colin Johnson.
Colin Johnson is part of a trivia question now. He was the first guy to tackle with the new kickoff rule.
See? Boom. Who's that guy? His name is Colin Johnson. So I'm just messing around. In all I really have to say is what DJ Moore said in this episode, and it is how many wide receivers are they really going to keep on this team? And that's a direct quote from DJ Moore. I think Velus Jones has found himself a role, and I think it's the role for him. I have nothing but an idea that he's going to be successful in it, right? Like that's my thoughts there. He's just lightning in a bottle fast, and if you can again get the ball in his hands, do it the easy way, let him tote the rock, and off he goes. Very similar to again what they wound up doing with CP, the one guy that I generally compare him to. So I think it's going to be successful. Cordell Patterson had a fair amount more success as a running back than he really did as a wide receiver, and that's my take on that. I might be wrong, statistically. I'll put that out there, but I'm happy that he has a role. That much I'm going to say. I'm just not sure. Again, who winds up in that room, man? There's some talent in that room.
Wide receiver or running back?
You name it. you name it. Like I don't. Since you brought that up, Brian, I don't expect. I don't expect Travis Homer to make it through training camp. I don't.
No.
Strictly because of his price tag,
Yes.
not because of his special teams value, right? Like that's not it. And again, super good. And this is like exactly why I asked the question about Colin Johnson the other day and whether he could bring special teams value, and he tends to, right? Like he was that guy who got that tackle.
Mhm.
So that's going to speak a lot to him and his prowess moving forward. But I don't see that happening for Travis. Ian Wheeler might be the backup to Velus Jones in those kickoff return situations, unless they decided somebody else. So he's kind of on the bubble too, in my thoughts there. And thirdly, I don't see them keeping Blasingame either. Mostly related to costs as well.
Blasingame, that's an interesting one, and I liked him in Getsy's offense. I know that's an oxymoron comment. I don't know how he's going to fit in with Waldron, because I don't think Waldron has had a fullback like Blasingame. So I could see Blasingame gone. The wide receiver room, if Johnson keeps playing like he has, I'm not saying he needs, have 2 touchdowns every game, but if he's a keeper, then that would give you 5 guys. You got, DJ, Rome, Allen, Scott is probably, I don't want Scott returning, but as a 4th wide receiver, I can see that. So you add Johnson. The 6th guy, I would probably put, what is it, Carter, for the simple fact that he can return punts
You do
and
all that stuff, yeah.
kickoffs.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know how this shakes out, y'all. That's all I'm really trying to say. It's
Beauty
great.
part about camp.
I don't know. I don't know how it shakes out. Right.
All I can tell you is you have to imagine. You have to have a vision of what you can do. You got skill sets. Think of it in skill sets. So you have you got a DJ who has a skill set all his own. You've got a Keenan who's got a skill set all his own. You've got a Rome who's a skill set somewhere right around where Keenan is, but probably a little faster. Not a little faster, probably a lot faster. What you don't have is a guy that can kind of keep the defense honest as a receiver with those guys on the field. And so you insert somebody like that that's running jet motions and jet sweeps and keeping the defense honest, the fakes that he's going to run. I don't think people realize how valuable the fakes to a guy like him is. Talking about the Velus Jones and how it can neutralize and put a defense at a standstill to make sure he didn't get that jet sweep. Because if you operate that fake the right way and it's clean enough and it looks like he's got that ball, you're gonna get that defense at a standstill for at least about a split second. And what that does is gives the offense a little bit of time to get that playoff going the opposite direction. It's a dynamic that we don't have currently. We haven't seen. And so all I'm saying is if you use that guy the right way, I'm starting to get the sense that Shane Waldron is thinking that himself. He's like, if we can get this guy to we can figure out some plays to get him involved, we can really put a defense on his heels. And so if this works out and he starts to execute some of those plays that they want him to, I got a good, strong feeling we're going to see a lot of Velus Jones Saturday night. And if he can get what he thinks he can get out of this guy, we got a pretty dynamic looking fucking offense on paper as it is. If you can start getting some production and put a defense on his heels with the insert of Velus Jones doing some of that stuff, whether it's jet sweep, throwing him back in the backfield, doing some of the stuff that you can do with him, dude, how much more dynamic can you be? You just got to imagine it.
Well, but are you saying Velus as a wide receiver or Velus as a running back, or does it even make a difference?
It doesn't really make a difference. It's just putting
No,
them
it
in
does.
spots that can threaten the defense and put them on that pause. Because I know as a defender, when you got a speed guy like that that's doing those jets, I mean, you're stopping for a second to make sure this motherfucker didn't get the ball. They're faking it to him most of the time, Brian. But sometimes they hand it to that motherfucker and it's gonna pause you and make you. And while that's going on, shit's going on the other side of the ball, and fuck, I gotta rally to the ball now.
That is an added wrinkle,
Yes.
but at the same time, you're going to need at least one of the wide receivers that have some decent speed. I was just looking at OLAD, and most of the speed is between 4.42 to 4.45. That's not a great difference between 6 wide receivers. It may be nice to have one really fast, almost as fast as Velus as a wide receiver if you're going to put him at the running back. Just open up downfield as opposed to also open up the short.
Yeah, it's no limits to what you can do with them. There's no limits to what you can do with him, but at some point or another, you have to establish him as a threat at all levels. So if you want to use him at all levels as a receiver, as a running back, in the short area, in the deep game, you have to put it on tape that establish that he's a weapon, so people respect it.
In order for that to be successful, he's going to have to catch.
Oh, golly, man.
That's where, and Brian, you nailed it, right? Like that's where Getsy failed, and that's also where Velus Jones initially failed. Is he was being put out as a wide receiver, and it became very clear that he was not a receiving threat, to the point that using him in those jet sweep capacities, you're basically telegraphing the world that you're gonna run a jet sweep with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you move him out of that role and you move him into the running back role, which is like where Brian, I think where your head is right now. If you do move him into the running back role, you can reestablish Velus Jones as an actual viable threat. And this is the thing. Once he becomes a threat, then you can move him out to the wing and jet sweep. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're going to be a little bit more worried about what kind of threat or the threat he poses. Before, again, there just wasn't any threat to be worried about other than it's likely a jet sweep fake, or he's on the field again, it's a jet sweep.
Here's the beautiful thing about it, kids. Even on if he's established, let's just say in the low area, 10, 15-yard radius, if he's a threat on that jet sweep, before he's even made himself a threat deep, he's going to constrict the defense. The minute they see him, that defense is going to start tightening up. You're going to see guys starting to slide down, slide over to the direction he's going, and that's making the defense constrict. And eventually, if you play that long enough and start, he makes 4, 5, 6, 7-yard gains, they're going to expect that coming, and that defense is going to tighten up, and it's going to be some opportunities. So that jet sweep can turn into a wheel route down the field.
But I'm gonna say. So and that's why you kind of need to establish him as the running back first. You just have to. It makes perfect sense to me at this point. You have to establish him as a running threat before you can get the defense off of that. Because right now he's not a receiving threat. And we can all admit that. Even though he can go deep, you're likely going to follow him to a point and be like, you know what? I'm going to break on Keenan. I'm going to break on Rome. I'm going to break on DJ. Because
you're making them pick their poison, but they're probably going to say, hey, wait a minute. He's not that much of a poison.
Who's the threat, right? Who's the poison? Am I going to go deep with Velus, or am I going to double the guy it's more likely going to go to?
Let a coach catch you fucking around and lapsing on your fucking covers. It don't matter who's going out there. If the motherfucker's speedy enough and he's going down the field, you better fucking stick with him. So all that shit's only good in your head. You better, or your ass gonna be off the field. The defensive coordinator sees you not, acknowledging that threat that's going down the field past you. It's not like he's going, okay, that's Velus Jones. I'm not going to cover him. That shit don't work. Not even in fucking play school.
You're saying that, but it could be just.
It doesn't. It's an NFL. They're going to acknowledge him.
Well, you're saying that, but that could be the interception. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be the interception. That break off of the Velus deep threat to Keenan, in, you know what I mean, in the slot. That could be the interception. So you might be upset that he didn't follow Velus down, but he just broke and took the ball. Right? It could be the other. It could be the other direction. So I'm just putting
what you made it sound like. What you made it sound like is if he takes off running down the field. Of course, I know he hasn't shown the ability to catch it consistently, Michael. I get that. But what you made it sound like is if he's taking off on the streak down the field, like a motherfucker won't even acknowledge him.
No, they're gonna acknowledge it, but to a certain degree. Who is the threat on the field right now? Is it the guy who's screaming up the field deep, who probably won't bring the ball down, or is it the two 1,300 yard receivers on the field?
We're talking about guys that are gonna see. You're gonna see guys on the field that need a roster spot. Those motherfuckers are gonna play that shit to the T, assignment wise. They're not gonna be cheating and fucking around like you're talking about.
I'm not talking about on the Bills game. I'm talking about as we move forward. All I'm really saying here is all I'm really saying here is establishing him as a running threat is actually key to getting him his confidence back.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying? Once he's established as a running threat, it changes the way the defenses respect him. Right now, I don't believe that there's going to be a lot of respect for his 4.2 speed going deep. He's, you know what I mean? He can do that. We know he can do that. But is he going to come down with the ball? Your guess is as good as mine, but I know Keenan Allen will, and I know DJ Moore will. I'm pretty sure Roma Dunze will. I'm probably going to break on any one of those guys. So once you establish him as that running threat, that changes the way the defenses look at him. Wait, we need to key in on this guy because he's going to scream up on a sweep or what have you. They're going to put 8 in the box. Then you can look at it the other way around. Oh, snap, there's 8 in the box now. Now we can get Velus wide open now. Now he's going to be wide deep.
All I'm doing is trying to change the tone and tenor because
around Velus Jones,
every time I say
working with you right now, dog.
Because every time I say a couple of names, there's always this instant. I can see it go across people's faces. Oh, I'm gonna give me a good.
It's like you owe him money or something.
If I say Velus Jones, if I say Nate Davis, it's uncontrollable. Like, you guys got to understand. Like, I work hard behind the scenes trying to get these guys and asking these guys to come on the show. And if they look at these shows, just hear me out, man. Just hear me out. If they look at some of these shows, I wouldn't come on this motherfucker either. I wouldn't. It's just like I'm gonna shut up, man. I just wish you guys would just be a little bit more respectful towards him. You know.
Okay, in Velus' situation, I think it's confidence.
It's a lot of
confidence. Something has gotten in his head from the get-go 2 years ago that he don't have confidence.
Yep.
With Davis, obviously he's somebody that just ain't into the practicing.
No, that's not it. Because in practice, like
he's absolutely right.
In practice, he's apparently like a practice god. Like his teammates, including Equinemius St. Brown, who runs like a 4.3, turned around and he's like, bro, he's the fastest guy I've ever seen. I don't, you know what I mean?
Somebody just said something in the chat. Brian Copeland, I'm not talking to you guys in the chat. What I'm saying, to be crystal clear with everybody, I'm not talking to you guys.
Oh, he's talking about me.
No. I'm talking to everybody that's a part of the show. Because what people don't know is I really work my ass off. Mm-hmm. I mean, I work my ass off privately trying to get these guys. I write them letters. I write them invites. I do all kinds of shit to get players on the show. And sometimes, you know, we do a show and that person's name comes up And it's easy when you're one of these guys on the show because it's an easy fucking kick in the nuts. It's like, hey, yeah, that's an easy one. I got to take for that one. But it almost defeats the purpose of me going after these guys as guests on the show. It's all I'm saying. You guys in the show can say, in the chat can say whatever you want. I'm just talking to my guys that's a part of the team, man. Just help me out a little bit is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so he's talking to me is what he's saying. He's saying,
well, Brian just as bad.
Brian is just as bad because we're both 100% pragmatic about the situation, and it is what it is. If you can't catch, defenses ain't gonna respect it. If he can run the ball, though, they sure as F will. So I'm all for Velus Jones getting his confidence back and being a running threat because that will allow him to actually become the wide receiving deep threat that we all know that he is. So let's hope this works. I hope it works out. I'm all for it.
Speak your mind, Brian.
Boy, it's some weather we're having.
That's something. Hey, I apologize to you guys because that's probably something we should have talked about behind the scenes. But I've been trying to get them there, and I guess saying it live probably is the best thing to do.
Well, I mean, if somebody's not doing well, I can't help that.
Well, there's
we just won't bring up their name.
Fine line between being critical of a guy and kids know. Yeah, you guys know.
I'm not saying either one of them's the Antichrist. I'm just saying that to me,
there's critical and then there's putting the steel toe boots on and taking a swipe to the nuts. There is a difference, but that's
they get paid very well, and they knew that.
Okay,
sports gave them the opportunity to get a college degree to put them ahead of everybody else in case their football career don't work. If they don't want to take it serious, they're not as talented as they thought, whatever, don't make it. That is not on me.
Well said, Brian.
Okay, I'm just saying I have a different level of responsibility to this. You know, I have to reach out to these people as guests. And, you know, they're naturally going to go and watch shows, you know, just to see what the network is all about. And they want to see, you know, all right, am I coming?
Hey, man, look.
You know, I'm just saying, hold on, let me finish now. I just want to give you guys a different perspective because I literally write these guys. And I'm trying to convince them to come on these shows. And you guys don't. And so it's a different thing for you guys. So that's all I'm saying. You know, just
I've been a fan for over 50 years. I gave as much as I could.
I hear what you're saying, and at the same time, I'm not talking out of class here by any stretch of the imagination. If anything that I've said has been disrespectful or underhanded, whoever needs to come on the show and tell me I've been disrespectful and underhanded can do so. Because I know that I haven't said anything. I'm not telling no lies here. You know what I mean? I ain't telling any lies. I ain't saying, I ain't calling no names out of school. I see stuff as I see it, and I say it as I say it. If I'm wrong, I'm also big enough to accept it and come back on the show a week later and cover my own tail and say, look, I saw we watched this game this the other day. We did a watch party. I saw the game. I said we had zero pass rush. The pass rush was absolutely terrible. And then I rewatched the game, noticed Austin Booker stood out, came back on the show the following week, a couple of days later, and said, you know what? I was wrong. Austin Booker was amazing. Here's how well he did. Right? Like, I'm that guy. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. And if somebody tells me I'm wrong, I'll listen.
I respect that. I respect the shit out of that because now you came full spectrum. You came full circle. You know, I could be an asshole and talk shit about you, but if I'm wrong about you, I will come on and apologize to you. Hopefully that's what you just said.
Yeah. Again, if something I've said has touched someone the wrong way, by all means, come on the show. Say your piece. I'll listen to it, and if I think you're full of it under the same pretenses, I'll tell you that you're full of it. And if you're not, and if you know what I mean, and I'll swallow my words and say, hey, look, I was wrong in that instance. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong a million times. I
would be crystal clear. I'm more like Jason. Jason says V12 has been judged since his rookie year. He messed up 2 punts and that's all we remember. Mooney has missed several game-winning touchdowns, and we don't hold him to the same standard. I'm just like Jason. You know, I think.
I'm not so sure about
Hold
that.
on, wait. Let me finish because I think Jason's more right than not.
He's not.
I'm now a couch sitting freaking football fan. I'm no longer a player. I'm not involved as a coach. I'm a couch sitting, nut scratching football fan, just like everybody else. And it's very easy for us to be hypercritical about players when we're sitting there and scratching our nuts and watching the game. So I agree with Jason. Not saying that everybody shouldn't have their say and take on how they feel about Velus Jones, but I do think people tend to pile on when it's not necessary all the time. Yes, he has a problem holding on to the ball. He's not a natural hands catcher. He's not. And does he have a confidence problem? Absolutely. Those are the two things I think haunt him.
Yeah.
The reason why people are hard on Velus Jones and his hands are because he's a third-round pick that basically went where they should have picked a George Pickens, who has no problems with his hands. That's the problem. That's the reality for folks who watch.
That's revisionist history, kids.
No, it's history. It's not revisionist. It's history.
If you think they drafted Velus Jones to be a regular receiver, you're smoking something. They drafted that guy to be a weapon. They just now got the coach that can weaponize him. They had a coach that didn't really have a vision for what Velus Jones can do. Now they have a coach that sees Velus Jones in a different light. They did not draft that guy to be a receiver.
What you're saying is a little bit odd and surprising. No, because they didn't have any receivers. Why would you go and draft a receiver who's not a receiver when you're in desperate need of receivers?
Because you want to beat teams in a different way. Kind of like what San Francisco.
Why not just beat them the old-fashioned way by beating them with receivers, right? Like, don't be the smartest guy in the room.
Take off so bad, kids. You're not listening to me. Like the San Francisco 49ers do not go bombs away on motherfuckers to beat them. They ground and pound you and beat you in a 15. They beat you in a 15 to 20-yard radius all day, every day, and make you try to stop that shit. There's a philosophy to it. They'll take one down the field or two once in a while, but they are beating the shit out of you in the 15-yard radius. They are running the ball right down your throat. They are doing jet sweeps right down your throat. They are using receivers in small spaces to catch and run the ball. That's how San Francisco beats you. So I imagine they envisioned this like that when they drafted Velus Jones. That's why I imagine they did.
So you spent a third round. Thanks, Mark. So you spent a third round pick.
If you saw him as that valuable, yes.
When you're in debt, when you have one receiver, like the reality, did they even have DJ Moore at the time?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like they just lost Allen Robinson. You just brought in DJ. So you pick a third round specialist for wide receiver. I don't understand.
You're questioning.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
You're questioning a general manager. I'm just
That's
giving.
What we do as fans, though. We do that.
I'm just giving you what I think they must have been thinking. I don't know what was in that man's head. I can philosophize about what I think, but I'm not going to sit here.
I'm just telling you the only reason that
this guy. I think he knew what he was doing when he drafted him.
I'm hoping, and that's what we're all hoping, is that Ryan Poles did know what he was doing when he was drafting. But I'm pointing out why people are skeptical, and that those people are me. I'm their advocate at this present time. I'm just saying, I'm skeptical because it was a third round pick under normal pretenses. I didn't see with the mocks that I was doing at the time. Chris C. Sharp's with me on this one because he was rocking the mocks same as I was. And he would tell you that neither one of us saw Velus anywhere before the fifth round, which is fine. If they wanted to pick Velus in the fifth, I'd be much, much lighter on the guy because we would have got another wide receiver in the third.
That's what our problem is, kids, is we all do too much, mock drafting and think we know.
Bro, it's just
we don't know shit.
But if we don't, the realities of the world play out, and the realities of the world are that, again, we drafted a wide receiver in the third, and he hasn't, unfortunately, he hasn't really shown much on the field to date. And that
Maybe
just
he cleans up after
I
himself.
wonder if Velus would have been drafted and his classification wasn't WR, would we feel this way? What if we drafted him as weapon, or like they do when you're coming out of high school, you're drafted as an athlete. You're not a specific category, because they do that because they don't know exactly what they want to do with you, but they know they want to do something with you, and they're giving you a scholarship. And so I believe it's we see wide receiver, we see the word wide receiver. We didn't have any wide receivers, and so why did we draft a wide receiver in that high? That didn't catch very well, and I think that sticks with people. And I'm not criticizing people who criticize Velus. I'm bringing you a little perspective from my point of view. Whether you agree with it or not, it's okay with me. I'm just saying my piece and giving a counter narrative to what you guys are saying.
So I'm gonna answer Jason here. So Jason says, hypercritical thinking, kids. You preached up Mooney, but you don't hold his drops to the same standard. He's saying as Velus Jones very, very specifically. Here's the thing. Darnell Mooney's a 5th round pick. Huge difference. The reality is a 5th round pick is probably not going to be a starting wide receiver on most teams. If they aspire to become a starting wide receiver, fantastic. A productive wide receiver, that's a special feat. That's why Darnell Mooney gets the props that he gets. Yeah, he dropped the ball a fair amount of times. Most wide receivers do drop the ball. It's just the nature of the position. But again, where you're drafted says a lot about how you progress forward in the NFL. It's an important factor, and that's why a guy like Ryan Poles and his moves and his machinations are important to all of us. Same thing with Ryan Pace before him. What are these guys doing? How are they mapping out the progress of this team by their selections? And with the selection of Darnell Mooney in the 5th round, he was not expected to be a starting wide receiver on the Chicago Bears. The fact that he was and did well should be lucky.
Here's my last take on it, and we'll move on to something else before we get out of here. Have you ever noticed, and you watch enough football, kids, Brian, you have too, that depending on what team someone gets drafted on, and let's just say X player got drafted by X team, and they got absolutely nothing out of this guy, and everybody in that fan base call him a bust. Next thing you know, he goes to this other team, and next thing you know, like, whoa, what the fuck why didn't they do that with him while he was here? And what the fuck happened? And next thing you know is all kinds of remorse, like, fuck, why didn't he? It happens, man. Sometimes you get drafted into a situation, and I'm not blaming the situation on Velus Jones's shortcomings. Sometimes you can get drafted into a situation where a coach doesn't recognize what you're capable of doing, and you go to another team and just right away, boom, they know exactly what to do with a guy, and boom, he takes off. You don't want to see that son of a bitch on Detroit. I promise you. They're enough of a problem. You don't want to see that motherfucker on Detroit. I promise you.
You know what? I'm not even going to touch this one. In any event, I think they're doing the right thing with him at RB. I do. I think that's a smart man's money. It's going to get the kid the confidence he needs again. Same thing in the return game. It's going to give him the confidence that he needs to actually be the deep threat that he needs to be. Because I think he has all of those tools. Just a matter of putting them together. So again, even though I've been critical of Velus, I won't lie and say that I haven't been. I'm hoping for his success. I want him to do well, and I want him to grasp that brass ring and run with it. And
Michael Copeland, let me address Michael Copeland. Let me read exactly what Michael Copeland is saying. I'm going to give you my honest take to that. Michael Copeland saying, you're making me question you now, Nomad. You have to call a spade if you're going to tell me that you watch film. Let me preface what I'm about to say to you, Michael. First thing I always tell, I only seen you here recently. I don't mean you haven't been supporting and watching the network for a long time, but one of the things I used to say on a regular basis, these guys know this. I'm pro player, and so when I'm a defender of people I feel like are getting picked on. Everybody is absolutely right about the takes on Velus Jones. Let me say that out front right now. people have every right to criticize Velus Jones. He hasn't shown the ability to consistently catch the ball, and he's become a liability in that regard, right? Clear as day. If that's enough film watching for you, there you go. I can see that clear as day. What I'm defending is his ability to be able to have some growth and having a coach that has a vision and some creativity on how to apply a guy with his kind of skill set. His best skill set isn't catching the ball, clear as day. That's on film as clear as day, even when he was in college. Even when he was in college, I saw that. So if that's to make it clear with you, me saying I'm pro player is I'm going to try to defend those guys the best way I can, so the narrative doesn't get taken away with a few miscues is what he's had, and that be the story around him. I think there's still some meat left on that bone, a lot, and
So
I'm saying that it took the Bears to get the right guy in here to see if now I will come on here and tell you flat out. If Shane Waldron puts him in advantageous situations and he still doesn't produce and he still has those miscues, then we wasted a draft pick because he's not producing. I just want to see that shit manifest itself first before I jump to any conclusions about Velus Jones. I hope that answer made sense to you. I do respect what you guys have to say, especially you, Michael. That was honest coming from you, man. I'm being honest with you with my take. I'm pro player. I'm going to try to defend them the best way I can and then see what happens with this new coach. But if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to come on here. These guys know when I'm wrong, I'll tell you. I'll be fucking wrong. That's it. But with that being said, what else do you guys let us know? We'll answer a few questions in here. Let's see what you guys saw on Hard Knocks today that stuck out to you that we didn't get to. You guys on the panel, do you guys have anything that we didn't speak to right away that you saw in that episode?
Trying to think if there's anything really else.
Like I said, me personally, even though I said I don't like reality TV, I did appreciate the players and coaches family part of it. Velus and his wife and daughters, how they supported him. That Austin Reed, how his mom, dad, and girlfriend, how they supported him, courage. I do like that. I'm not a raw type of person. And like I said, since I didn't play sports, or not school or anything like that, I don't have that as a experience that I can talk about. But as far, to me, family is important. And Velus's daughters, they don't have to give two shits about football, but they do because that's their dad. I mean, they could just, well, okay, he's able to buy me this because he's a coach. But they don't. They support. Same with his wife. Like I said, that Austin Reed and his family. And I can't think of anybody. I mean, there was just a very short clip of Caleb Williams' dad when he was getting drafted. But I mean, I don't know. I guess me coming from a small family, seeing that's just something that's important to me, and I enjoyed that part.
I appreciated that as well, the little bit of family dynamic, because I guess him having two girls kind of almost explains it to me. Like, as a parent of both a girl and a boy, it's just different things, right? And me and my daughter have things that we connect on. None of them are sports related. let's just be real about that. That's just how that works. But because he's got two daughters and I don't believe a son, yeah, you kind of, if you're a coach, all your entire life is sports, they're gonna find some sort of way to be interested in you and what you do, and he's an interesting guy, and what he does is interesting. So I'm all the. It was really good to see how connected the family was all together, including the missus and the haircut. That was kind of slick to see him go in there and get his beard done. It was actually like a thing. It's silly, but as far as a, yes, Dubs, it was more of an autobiography. It was as far as reality TV shows go, it was okay for me. It's
also the first episode.
Yeah. Episode number 1. It was all right. It was okay across the board. I truly have to say. And Jason, I'll touch your comment there. It's not that you sort of misunderstood me. The fact of the matter is that Darnell was a 5th-round pick who overplayed his draft position and wound up becoming the number 1 wide receiver on the Bears. The fact of the matter is he should never have been the number 1 wide receiver on the Bears, which again goes back to us questioning why a 3rd rounder was spent on potentially a specialist.
That was kind of because Allen Robinson shit the bed.
That there you go, right? Like, and decided to leave. See you later, Allen. So do you replace that position? Yeah, you do. A, you move Mooney over. B, you get another number 1 wide receiver to partner with him. They didn't. Oh, and then they got DJ Moore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I see that. It's and same token, I have a strange feeling Darnell Mooney's going to do very well in Atlanta. Keep your eyes peeled.
Mooney, I don't think Mooney is
he's not a number 1 receiver. That's what you're saying. He's not.
I hate that number 1, number 2 receiver thing, but I get what people are coming
from. It's legitimate. It's a legitimate thing.
So when I hear someone say a number 1 receiver, that means that person is the first option. That's what I think of it. You're the first option when they go to throw the ball. That's the way I look at it as a football player, ex-football player. It's just, number 1 receiver, that's about all I think of it. How everybody else sees it, I don't know. But I know this. Mooney got a bad hand dealt to him when he was last year. He got a bad hand dealt to him, but he did not take advantage of his opportunities. Jason is right. He missed a lot of opportunities, man. And I'm not saying that would have made any difference in whether or not he got a contract here, whether he took advantage of those opportunities. I think they thought that they can improve on Darnell Mooney's position here. And I think they did. They grabbed DJ Moore and went and grabbed Keenan Allen. That's your replacement for Darnell Mooney. And so
about Rome.
Yeah, and Rome, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if Mooney makes those touchdown catches, there's not a chance at draft Rome.
No,
the record is better.
There's still a chance they draft Rome and or get Keenan. It's one or the other. There'd still be 3 wide receivers here with him. No, he tried to have 3 wide receivers last year with Chase Claypool. It was the same general idea, and I was with the idea if Darnell Mooney works out as a true number 2 wide receiver in this scheme, and that's not what happened. He didn't work out as a number 1. He faltered as a number 2 because they moved him into the Chase Claypool role after Chase left the team. And he's not a blocking wide receiver. It just didn't work out for Darnell. We can hold him accountable as much as you want. I'm just saying that he well overplayed. Like, how many 5th-round draft picks are starting at number 1 wide receiver for their given football organization?
Who's that kid for the Rams?
Puka Nacua? You know what? He might even be deeper than 5. Was he a 5th?
4th or 5th, something like that.
I was going to say he might have been even deeper. He's a special case. Really good though, and I was hoping we would. I was since we're talking Puka Nacua here for a minute. He was scouted by Luke Getsy. This is the craziest thing. In high school, Luke Getsy worked with him in high school, scouted him, helped him get into college, worked with him a little bit in college. I expected, he was on his team at the Senior Bowl or what have you. I thought Luke Getsy would try to get Puka Nacua on this football team, and somehow that didn't work out. And I'm a little bit.
He was a 5th round.
Here we are talking about Velus Jones and Darnell Mooney dropping football.
Let me answer Sean Rogers. Sean Rogers wants to know, hey, do y'all think Tyler Scott will be a number 3 receiver next year? I don't think so. Nah, this would be
it depends if they sign a certain Keenan Allen, right?
I don't think that matters.
Yeah, I think Rome is secure at 3 right now. Secure at number 3. I think Tyler can be 4 or 5, but 3, I definitely don't think. I think they're gonna get I believe they got, theoretically, I think they have Keenan Allen bought in mentally with what they're doing here. I think DJ's influence on him is going to get him a contract signed here. I think him and Caleb will establish enough. And he's going to be, Tyler can be 4. Ain't nothing wrong with being 4.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
I also like to see the camaraderie between DJ and Keenan. They didn't show it a lot, but it looks like those two guys are getting along just fine, and I like that. It's good to see the team overall gelling and connecting, especially the guys that are in the same room together. So that just popped into my head, given the fact you're talking about the two of them. Yeah.
Well, that being said, man, it's getting a little bit late. Nick had to bounce, man. He had a little emergency going on. Hopefully he's taking care of himself, man. Nick, shout out to you, man. Hey, all I can tell you is hope everything goes well, and I'll be in contact with you later on tomorrow, man. But I hope Nick takes care of himself. But that being said, hey, man, let's give out some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here.
Jason, you gave me the business today. Big ups to you either way, man. You
deserved it.
Maybe I did. I probably did deserve it. In any event, Jason, big ups to you, bro. You represent the No Maniacs full go, and we always love to have the discourse. So take it for what it's worth. Dobbsy34, big ups to you. Sean Rogers, what it do? Charles Johnson held it down all night long with us for 1 hour and 52 minutes. Leo Factor, what's cracking? Derek Carter, how's it going? Michael Copeland, Mark Wallace. Who else we got out there? James Ford. Let's see. Mr. Mayhem is in there. Nick Rembert's with us. There's Marlon Johnson. Jigsaw stopped by for a little bit. AC Adams with us today. King Booker World as per normal. Kenny rolled through. Jay Grizz. Oh man, man, it was a good show. Definitely love going back to back with Nomad. Always on the topic of Velus Jones. Oh, and Billy Ocean was in there when the going gets tough. But yeah, we always chop it up when it comes to Velus Jones. I think it's a fantastic story to have differing views on, because at the end of the day, we're all just Bears fans, and we all hope the best for Velus. I hope Velus Jones tears it up this year, even though I'm critical of him. I hope he tears it up. And I have a strange, sneaking suspicion, y'all, that he's going to do exactly that. So as negative as I may sound on the situation, I'm hoping for the best. And I think the best is exactly what we're going to get. Brian?
Well, another fun show. Thanks, No Maniacs, for staying up late with us. I figured it was going to be kind of a short show, maybe an hour, and it was almost 2 hours.
Yeah, so much for that, eh, Brian?
It was fun.
Yeah. Huh?
It was fun.
Oh, it was great. Like I said, I always enjoy the shows. I just thought, since we started late, that it was probably going to be a short show. But hey, I'm happy as hell. I love talking with you guys and the chat. But yeah, it was interesting because how we feel about.
Sorry, I was just saying, Charles Johnson is saying it was the Canadian breakaways and the Speedos for him. That's what did it for Charles Johnson.
Well, all I can say is different strokes, and you can take that anyway. With that, Nomad, take it away before I get in trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the mic right now, man.
True Santa.
Hey, listen, man, great show tonight. Listen, before I get into my spiel tonight, I want to thank everybody for being here. Everybody that interacted, everybody from Michael Copeland, who vehemently disagreed with my take on Velus. Respect the fact that you all came in here. This is what I love about this channel, and this is what This is what I love about it, is that everybody came in here, and anything that got disagreed with wasn't done out of bad energy. It was just pure, I don't agree with that, Nomad. I don't agree with that, Kez. Here's why. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I have a debate.
And so, I see this too often on other people's channels and other networks, that it turns into the spitball, throwing rocks and bad vegetables and fruit at people and shouting people down, calling names and all that other kind of crap that's unnecessary. It's just someone's view on how they see this football game and the individuals playing this thing. And that's all it is tonight. It was just that. And so if you enjoyed this content, man, and you got something out of it, whether good or bad, you can't stand Nomad, you can't stand kids, but I'm glad I was here for it. Hit that damn like button and show us how much you support. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe, man. I'm not saying we absolutely need your guys' help. We need to get to 2,000 subs. We would love to get there before the season starts. And we only probably like 230 away, 220. I don't know, but a little less than 300 subs. And I think we can do that. I think if the community rallies around each other, we share the content, we tell people about the show and do it that way, I think the community will get us where we need to go, man. So if you came here and you enjoyed this content, if you got a little bit out of it, hit that like button and hit the subscribe, man. We would definitely appreciate that. But that being said, let me give you guys something to think about, something that's dear to my heart, and it's about growth. And we talked about it a little bit with my guy, Country Santa, in the background. It was a personal conversation I was having with him that sparked me to think about this. And it's kind of addition to what I said on the last show about, looking in the mirror, about change. But, growth is really, it's incremental. You got to look at this life as a kind of marathon when it comes to that. Because if you don't put carrots in front of you, and I mean by carrots, I mean you got a carrot on a string. You almost literally have to do that. Put a carrot on your string in your life and keep that string moving so that you never get your hands on it. Give all your effort to get your hands on it. And if you achieve that, then start growing from it. My thing is this: I'm never going to ever stop growing. As a human being in my place on this planet, I was brought here not to waste myself, not to waste my time, not to waste the people around me. I think what I'm trying to say more than anything else is I think what gets lost in the life that we all live is our sense of responsibility towards each other. And so I'm talking about your neighbor. I'm talking about your relatives. I'm talking about the love in your life, if that person is there or not. Or sometimes you may not have something in your life because you haven't achieved a milestone yet. You haven't achieved a certain level of growth. Maybe you're missing those things in life because you need to grow to a certain extent to be able to receive that next person in that next phase of your life. I had to learn that. I had to check some boxes in my life. I had to start growing as a human being, not as a man. I'm talking as a human being. I ended up growing as a man and start doing better things as a man. I started treating people better. I started communicating with people better. I was less, I would say standoffish when it came to my interactions with people when I didn't like something someone said. If someone said something I didn't like or gave bad energy in an environment that I was in, I learned to not confront it all the time. If there was an exit door, if there's a door on the way out, I'll take it. Because if the energy isn't right, I don't like the vibe, I leave it. I leave it right where it's at. But you know what that is? For me, that was growth. That was growth. And it translated in my personal life when I'm dealing with my significant other in my life. When we have a very, very peaceful relationship, but we've grown together. And I've grown personally by not engaging with her because I don't give a fuck, man. I'm going to tell you straight up. Trying to win an argument with a woman, it's like kicking your own self in the ass. You're a one-legged man in the ass kicking contest, man. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. You can't see, growth is understanding that, learning how to give that woman, if that's how she feels she needs to win that conversation and that point of view, let her have it. Trust me, your life will be a whole lot more fruitful and you'll be a whole lot more at peace when you let her have it. You don't have to fucking win every conversation. And that's just incremental growth in your life, man. But I think the most important thing I would leave you guys with is achieve the growth for yourself individually first, but also have a sense of the responsibility you have for the community around you. I mean, the people around you, your neighbors, the people you come in contact with at the grocery store. You just be a better person for them. Make good decisions and don't make it selfishly. Make a decision thinking about the people around you. You could selfishly go and do X amount of things, but if you think about it in the wide sense, you can make better decisions when you're thinking about the people around you. And that's what we're here for. We're here to make this world better. This world needs a change. We need to instill more love. And I ain't talking about through no religion. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm talking about how we treat each other. And you don't need no fucking religion to do that. It's just a spiritual growth that you can have with yourself incrementally if you put forth the effort. Just grow and just grow. Accept people for who they are, not what the fuck you want them to be. You expect people to do that to you, so why not do that to other people? You may not agree with who they are and what they believe, but meet them where they are. And at least you can try to have a conversation with them. If it doesn't go well, it doesn't. But at least you tried. Predetermining who someone is based on, where they are and what you expect someone to be, that's not even fair to the individual. Putting expectations on folks, and it ain't cool. But that's part of growth, man. Being able to at least draw the bridge and see if somebody can come across. If they don't, they don't. That's growth. But that being said, man, I want to thank everybody one more time for being here. It was a fun show tonight. I enjoyed the shit out of Hard Knocks, but I do think I think that in terms of what we're going to see moving forward, I think we just scratched the surface. I think we're going to see a whole lot more next episode. But looking forward to that. We will see you guys. I want to say I don't want to sell myself on a day and can't deliver, but we'll see what happens this week. I got a feeling we're going to do another show during the week. If not, we'll see you guys on Sunday on Nomad at night. That being said, I want to say one more time, thank you guys. Love you guys. And we will see you next time. But before I go, I got to say this. If you can think it, you can see it. It's absolutely up to you to see it manifest. And all you have to do is get out of the way when that happens and see it play out. We are out.